As soon as you deeply see the truth about urges, they lose their power because their power was an illusion. Urges never had any real power at all. The Inner Lizard. In Chapter 3, I talked about the differences between the lower brain and the higher brain. The lower brain, also called the reptilian brain or the inner lizard, because of its presence in the earliest, most primitive reptiles, is rudimentary and machine-like. It is like your inner alarm clock, unthinkingly carrying out its habitual patterns. The lower brain picks up on patterns and habits and fights to keep your habits alive, partially because it believes they are essential for your survival. You may have a stake in keeping your habits alive too, because they help you temporarily feel better. But although the lower brain is certainly skilled at producing urges, it is not capable of acting on them. Decision-making and complex muscle movements require the more sophisticated abilities of the higher brain. That means that no matter how strong an urge might be, no matter how insistent the inner lizard may sound, and no matter how many urges it might toss your way, your lower brain alone is completely powerless to enforce it. You have wisdom that you can learn to call on in any moment, regardless of what your brain is doing. Remember the metaphor of the person screaming at you from the back seat of your car, which I shared in Chapter 3? If you are behind the wheel, no matter how loud someone screams at you to run the light, that person can't make you do it. You may feel bullied and powerless, but that's only your perception of the scenario. You have control the entire time. Whether to run the light or not is your choice to make. Your lower brain is in the back seat. You, your wisdom, and your higher brain are the driver. When I was leaving my binge-eating habit behind, I liked to imagine my inner lizard at work. I imagined a scaly green lizard with no arms or legs. He had a gigantic megaphone. I'm not sure how he held the megaphone up to his mouth with no arms, but the details aren't important. My inner lizard was loud. He produced urges that felt hijacking, urges that narrowed my vision, made me hyperventilate, and consumed my attention such that the only thing I could focus on was finding food. It seemed that he was nearly always talking to me, saying things like, "You know you're going to binge today, so you might as well just do it now." And, "You need a break from life. A binge would be a great escape." Sometimes his commands were more impatient and to the point. "Go to the store. Finish it." When he wasn't verbally taunting me, I simply felt overcome with the physical drive to eat, although I could usually sense some wisdom in the background, reminding me that eating wasn't what I truly wanted to do. I imagined my inner lizard bouncing around while he ranted and raved, but with no arms or legs, he had no real mobility. He was all bark and no bite. He literally had no ability to do anything about any of his commands and threats. The same is true of your inner lizard. Choice. Before you're aware that the inner lizard can only produce commands and can't possibly act on them, the commands feel compelling and ominous. You feel powerless over those thoughts because you believe they will eventually win out. They seem louder and stronger than you are. But that is an interesting statement, isn't it? They seem louder and stronger than you are? They are not you. You are experiencing them, so you are not them. There are two separate, independent entities, you and the urges. When you insightfully see that the only way an urge will be acted on is if you, via your own wisdom and your higher brain, choose to act on it, things begin to turn around. It's not that the urges immediately go away, and it's not that they are instantly painless. You may still experience them. It's just that you begin to see them in a new light. Perhaps you see an armless, legless lizard with a megaphone like I did. A part of you sees the source of those urges in a new way. You see the thought and the inner lizard as the loud but powerless forces of nature they are. Your higher brain is completely responsible for all of your voluntary movements. Just as the backseat driver can't apply your foot to the gas, your lower brain can't make you act on your habit. Even when your habit is a mental one, like Jackie's habit of needing reassurance from her boyfriend, Jeremy's financial panic, or Valerie's fears about something happening to her children. You can hear the inner lizard's screams and see them for what they are, all talk. You come to see them as loud but powerless, empty threats. They are your imagination run wild.